What's up, everybody? Chris from Integral Truck, and today is the day that you have been asking for. Today, we're going to be installing the Integral rail system in the Gen 5 Ram 2500 and 3500 short box. That's right, I got rails for the passenger side, the driver's side, and today, in part one of the Ram series, we're going to be installing them here in the bed of the truck. So I'm going to get the camera turned around. We're going to go over the parts, the tools that we're going to be working with. Let's get going. All right, let's take a look at the parts that come in the kit as well as the hardware. Now, first off, there's going to be 4 brackets, 2 for each end of the rail. There's going to be a long side and a short side for the driver's side, and a long side and a short side for the passenger side. Now, the reason why they're different is they face different directions, and there is a little bit of a taper to the bed, so we've covered that with the brackets. And also, you'll notice there's a center bracket here, and that is a center support that goes over the wheel well for extra weight. Okay, and finally, we have the rails themselves. We've got 2 full-length rails, one for the passenger side, one for the driver's side, and you notice there's an accessory cutout in the end of them. Now, the accessory cutout is going to go towards the cab end, because these little caps on the end are super easy to remove. If you need to add an accessory or something like that, and you need to do it at the tailgate end, it's a lot easier. Whereas at the cab end, having a nice big open slot in here makes it easier for adding accessories. So that's going to go at the cab end, similar to the way this one here is oriented for the driver's side. Next up, let's go over the hardware. We've got a supplied T40 Torx here, and that's going to go with the bolts that are going to attach the brackets. We've got a set of rivet nuts and nuts there. We'll cover that in a minute. We've got some spacers here. We've got our long screws that are going to mount the rails directly to the brackets, washers, lock nuts, everything you need to install it. For tools, you're going to need a 13mm socket and wrench. You're going to need a hand driver. We've got a 5mm Allen here, and that is to remove the cleats that come from the factory. And that's about it for the installation hardware, parts, and tools. So we'll go ahead and we'll get the factory cleats off, and we'll get the driver's side installed. All right, the Gen 5 Ram Heavy Duties come with 4 of these cleats, one at each corner, and they're held in with a 5mm Allen. So we'll just take our little trusty tool here with our Allen on the end of it, and we'll zip those off. All right, once the factory cleats are removed front and rear, we can go ahead and assemble the rail that's going to go on the driver's side. Now, first off, let's take a look at these brackets. Like I said, you've got a long one and you've got a short one. The long one goes to the rear with the tie down facing back. The short one goes to the front with the tie down facing forward. So let's first off take it, and we're going to slide gently onto the rail. Got a rear and the front. And you'll notice in the rail, it's got these 2 holes where the 70mm bolts go to secure them in place. Now, having this open slot right here is what allows you to put in the sliding nuts when you're installing panels or any sort of accessories. We're going to cover that in part 2. But for now, we're going to go ahead and finger tight put in all of the 70mm bolts, and we'll get it mounted up on the wall. Grab one of the big bolts and a washer. Slide it through. And you're going to have 2 of them on each end. Grab it, flip it, and you can throw on a washer and one of the 13mm lock nuts to securely hold it in place. Now, we're just going to kind of put everything on finger tight right now. That way we ensure all the holes are going to line up, got a little bit of wiggle room. So that is the rear bracket. Let's put on the front bracket. Same thing. Going to run a washer and a 70mm bolt. 1 and 2. Hold it, flip it, throw another washer on there, and that 13mm lock nut. And as you can see, those holes are elongated in the bracket, so it does give you a little bit of wiggle room. So now we'll take this guy and we'll get it installed. Next up, grab 4 of those supplied T40 bolts, your handy tool to put them in, and we can take the entire rail assembly, and I like to just set it on the wheel here. We'll take the first bolt, we'll put it in finger tight back here. That way it holds the assembly in place, so you can put another one down at this end. Now you can put in all 4 bolts, you can get them tightened down. Now make note, the top one here at the cab end of this, since the bracket is a little bit shorter, is a lot easier to get to if you have a little hand driver. Once the brackets are bolted down securely, it's time to tighten up the 70mm bolts with a 13mm socket and a 13mm wrench. All right, guys, there you have it. The integral rail is installed on the driver's side of the Ram 2500 3500 Short Box Gen 5. This thing is solid, it's secure. Now, like I said, there is a center support for this that goes about right here, and there's two ways of installing that. You can either put a little spacer in it just to kind of hold it in place, or there is a drill option where you can put rivet nuts in it and put a really heavy-duty support right in the center. Now, in part two, I'm going to be covering some different panels I'm putting on, some different options to install on this thing, and at that point I'm going to decide whether or not I do the drill option or the support option, just simply based on the weight of the gear that I'm going to be putting on it. So let's go ahead and repeat this for the passenger side. Thanks for tuning in to part one of the 3500 2500 Gen 5 Short Box Ram build. We just put in the integral rails, and part two is going to be super exciting. We're going to be talking about different panels you can put on it, slide and lock cleats, and we've got amazing things coming out from Integral Truck like bed dividers, toolboxes, all kinds of amazing stuff. And it's all going to work with this super useful, super well organized integral rail system. And like I said, in part two, I'm also going to be talking about that center support that's going to go in there. And I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to use this full-on riv nutted in setup that's going to bolt it right to the bed of the wall, or I'm just going to be using this nice little support that's going to just kind of keep it from moving around in there. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do, what you're going to be putting in your packs, and how you're going to use that integral rail system, because the possibilities are endless. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them below. Be glad to hear from you. But in the meantime, this is Chris signing off for Integral Truck. Now get out there, enjoy that sunshine, and have yourself a great day.